Will you also summarize the role and function of the intellect and will?
The intellect and will compose the soul of man. They are the spiritual aspects of man. The intellect is not concerned with the sense good or the sense evil. It is not concerned with the concrete experience of reality. It is concerned with what is universal, abstract reality, what is true, what is. So the intellect has an accompanying appetite, which is called the will. Now, just back to the intellect for a second. The intellect has two kinds. If we refer back to the little T-chart that we made, on top of the stem, on the left-hand side, we can put intuitive. On the right-hand side of the stem, we can put discursive. Those are the two types of the intellect. The intuitive is called the contemplative or the spiritual side. Is where we get information spontaneously that comes from God. The discursive intellect is reason. We figure out mathematical equations. We analyze. We synthesize. Okay. Now, as we were speaking before, the accompanying appetite of the intellect is the will. And what the will is, it is the inclination for the good. The inclination for the good. So as the intellect perceives what is known, what is true, the will then inclines the person towards what is true, what is good. The will is not compelled, the will is free. The reason why the will is free, the will has a choice, we have a choice, is that, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, the only thing that is completely good is God. So in other words, we can't help but seek God. We can't help but move toward God, human beings. However, nothing is completely good except for God, and therefore we are not compelled to act toward that. And that's where sin can come in. So as you see that there are parallels between the sensory life of man and the intellectual life of man, it's very important to understand, though, even though we're separating these powers, we're separating these levels, man is a unified being. All of these components work together so that the intellect penetrates into the sensory life of man. Okay? The intellect is at work when dealing with concrete objects. All of these components are working together in a unified whole. When they're not working together properly, that is an imperfection and perhaps a neurosis. But in a mature man, an ideal man, as we were created to be, all of these aspects are working in harmony with one another. The intellect pervades all aspects of the human psyche.